Nobody beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
Brand new.
Hey, we're talking brand new Joe. Hey, we're on a brand new show. Deep dive, blow by blow. Spotting Uzis and crossbows. Like a buzzball or a pogo. Got ninjas like Don Shadow. Comics are how I spend my dough. We're coming to you in stereo. It's time for Talking Joe. With Mark and Tim, here we go.
Brand new.
Talking Joe is on the air.
Hey, it is me, Mark, and you are watching Talking Joe, or listening. If you're a listener only on audio, that's allowed as well. I've thrown off my thread. The G.I. Joe Comics podcast. And you are joining us again from the far corners of the Energon universe as we look into G.I. Joe issue number 23, released Wednesday, June the 17th, 2026, which at the time of recording was just a few days ago. Now, for this issue, the official synopsis was, who is Risk? The secret origin of G.I. Joe's most unpredictable member revealed. And what will happen when Destro and Baroness meet again? But I will not be looking at this issue all by myself. As normal, I'll be joined by my co-host. It's a real American Tim. It's Tim Finn.
Oh, hello, Mark, and hello, viewers and listeners. My cat is not going to stay. He was in my arm for the last hour, but I don't think he'll stay.
We're just trying to expand our reach with new niches of cat-loving G.I. Joe fans.
It's too bad.
You can hear the purring.
Oh, that's great.
There we go. Get some of that ASMR.
When I put him up to this microphone during Zoom karaoke, my friends can't hear him. Something about Zoom's noise reduction, but StreamYard takes the microphone as it is.
Very good. So as at the time of recording, we are live. So if you want to join in with the fun, interact, give us a comment, then do so, and we'll stick it on screen. So it occurred to me we had a bunch of non-comics news in this last week. They released news of the Hasbro classified G.I. Joe Vamp Mark II with a tan clutch. And as I was thinking about that, I thought that possibly we actually got a bit of a reveal of that in the comics, quite a long time ago in the pages of Duke. And I thought to myself, was this Tom Riley being particularly clever in the pages of Duke number, was it 2, when he first introduced Clutch, as he was, tanning himself on a sunbed on the top of his roof? Intent or non-intent, nonetheless, I love it, and I'm calling this the first appearance of Tan Clutch in the Energon universe.
I see. Sorry, I thought you were going somewhere. I thought you were going to turn the page from Duke issue 2, and we were going to see in that junkyard a Jeep that was beige.
No.
I understand. Very good. What was the other news?
Just for fun, last time we were talking about Crystal Ball appearing on the covers to G.I. Joe. And I said, while it's not that common, it has happened before. So the example I've got here is a cover from issue 167 from the IDW era when Larry Hama started using Crystal Ball, which he didn't do in his original 155 issue run.
This must be 2011, maybe 2012.
And as I mentioned as well, he did appear on one of those Blackthorn 3D covers as well. But lots going on, so let's have a look at what's going on in the Energon universe this month as we travel around the world and have a little dance.
All around the skybound world, are you looking for some G.I. Joe?
There's Autobots and Decepticons and creatures from the sacred brain. All we need is energon, sweet energon. There'll be energon everywhere. There'll be robots swinging, aliens killing, and Decepticons in the streets. Yeah!
So first up, in recent releases, we had issue number 33 of Transformers. Quite an interesting read. Not too much Joe-specific stuff, but some interesting developments and some spoilers ahead as to what happened in that particular issue. We get that nice Energon Universe connectivity as Hot Rod and Springer return to Cybertron with some Energon stocks as they depart from the pages of Void Rivals and into the pages of Transformers. So we're seeing these, little bits of connectivity, which is very nice. There's more Cobra La appearing in Transformers as Thundercracker is talking about the existence of Cobra La to his colleagues, his robot colleagues.
But he does so in a vague way. Right?
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on. He's sort of been somehow transported and is not sure exactly what's happened. And
yes, he's vague about it, and Kirkman is vague about it. So we don't understand as the reader if Thundercracker's mind went there, if someone implanted something, if he teleported there, if this happened, and we don't know quite when it happened. If it's in the last month or two, the last 3 issues of the comic, or some other time before then. So hopefully this will be revealed in spectacular fashion sooner than later.
Mm-hmm. And also we see that Starscream has sort of escaped from the Decepticons' clutches. They thought that perhaps he was dead and left on a scrap heap of dead Transformers, but he is on the ocean floor making his getaway, and possibly that might mean that at some point in the future, Duke might still be able to get his revenge.
Didn't Megatron shoot Starscream in the face?
His face doesn't look particularly pretty.
Yeah, okay. I feel like I know they're robots and they're hard to kill and you can bring them back. I feel like between there was a little thing with Bumblebee, we found Bumblebee. It's like, no, I thought you guys really killed Bumblebee in issue 1. Kirkman, are you undoing what Daniel Warren Johnson did? Anyway, let's get back to talking about G.I. Joe.
Right, so we've got a little bit of a first look at Transformers issue 34, the next issue. And there's this guy in the front cover, Dr. Arkeville, who seems to be strangling Hawk. So we've got more, not Hawk, Flag. So we've got more Flag back in the pages of issue 34 of the Transformers. So I think it's that nice bit of just, paying attention to what's going on in the wider Energon universe, sort of just enriches the whole thing. Even if you just want to focus in on the G.I. Joe issues, there's adjacent stuff going on. What can you tell us about this character, Tim Arkeville?
He's in 3 episodes of Transformers, the end of season 1. Season 1 of Transformers was a weekend show. It was on Saturdays or Sundays. It didn't move to weekdays until its second season in 1985. The final 3 episodes of Transformers season 1, I think those are episodes 14, 15, and 16. It was slightly longer than the average show, which was a weekend show. Is a 3-parter called The Ultimate Doom, where this character, voiced deliciously by Casey Kasem, who was already portraying Cliffjumper and Teletran 1. So here's this evil scientist, and he can put a chip behind your ear, and you'll do what he says. And meanwhile, Megatron is going to bring Cybertron into Earth orbit, which has kind of happened in the comics and also one of the Michael Bay movies. So, folks, that's really fun. Let's stop doing this, because the only time anyone started dealing with the science of it, like catastrophic tidal waves and stuff, was in the not very realistic kids cartoon in 1984. Anyway, but he's an evil mad scientist, and in the comic, he takes over Sparkplug, Spike's dad, and he becomes like a slave, and he's got to like set up some equipment, and then the Autobots stop him and stop Megatron, and it's great. But he never showed up again. He doesn't return in later episodes of Transformers. He doesn't return in season 3, taking place after the animated movie. I don't have a perfect memory of the Dreamwave comics or the crossovers with G.I. Joe at Devil's Due, but I am 87% sure that Dr. Arkeville, which, arch evil, right? It's not quite how it's spelled, but that's what we're supposed to think of. I'm pretty sure that he has never shown up outside of these 3 episodes. And I think that includes the British comics, which I haven't read all of.
Oh.
Don't forget, on this cover here, they're what looks to be tanks of energon.
Looks like it could be.
Or, I don't know, maybe it's making synthoids.
Yeah. And in the chat, we've got Matt. Hello, my comic shop messed up my pull box for several weeks, but finally got caught up this week. Got 327 and 329 this week's were good. Still missing some Conan issues. It is a frustration if your comic book shop messes up. You go there and then you've got a hole. You're like, how do I fill this hole in my collection? And Paul Morales. Hello, everybody. So hello to Paul, Matt, and everybody in the chat. Next up, recently out was Void Rivals issue number 30, I want to say. Quintesson War Part 6 of 6. I don't think that date's correct, March 27th on screen, but recently out. So Quintesson War has now concluded, which, is the end of that big arc, and some interesting developments in that storyline. The main heroes are essentially on their way to Earth, so we're sort of seeing again that Energon universe coming together, a little bit more opportunity for crossover and introducing new characters, which we'll get onto in a little bit. Mask issue 1 came out and set the world aflame with excitement because of all of the things happening in there, which I think is a good opportunity for just me to play that mask jingle that Tim made, because I love it so much.
Mark and Tim together, Talking Joe, it's a show. Press record, it's a podcast about comic books, publishing, interviews. Mark will summarize the story, but what if Tim says it's too boring?
He probably won't.
Mark, he's a British guy, he binds his comic books.
They're Talking Joe.
Tim, he's American, he owns a retail store.
They're Talking Joe.
Mark, posting episodes on every Thursday. You might just see it their way. Talking Joe!
I love it, Tim.
Thanks.
I was sort of debating with myself. I love that so much. Should I retire the brand new intro and replace it with that one instead? I would be curious to know what the listeners and viewers think. Should that be our new just general Energon theme tune? Let us know.
I will say it's mask specific, and I for a little while thought I should do something Energon universe specific, but I keep not making the time. But the mask issue 1 episode was this sort of looming deadline, and what's more motivating than a looming deadline? Speaking of mask number 1, interestingly, you liked it, I liked it. I'm just going to assume the whole internet liked it. A friend of mine, as a counterpoint, did not like it. Didn't like the art, didn't like the color, thought it was really missing something story-wise, and thinks that Mask doesn't work in the Energon universe, that it's sort of too similar to G.I. Joe and Transformers. Thanks, Marco. Marco Federa says, I love this song. Well, I certainly didn't write the music. And I'm I'm a little bummed that this friend of mine doesn't like this comic. And hopefully this friend will stick around and more stories will pull them in. But I do find it interesting that you and I are sort of on Energon Universe Cloud 9, and not that Skybound can do no wrong, but that Skybound is mostly doing right. And to my surprise, a friend felt very differently.
And the very exciting thing for Mars coming out was the blind bags, Tim. And I said that I might do a bit of an opening.
Folks,
of
Mark is holding a pair
bags.
of scissors and a Mask #1 blind bag. You got this in the mail or at a store?
I got this in the mail yesterday. So a bit of a spoiler. You can kind of tell a little bit from the blind bags on the level of bend as to whether it might be foil or not. So if you've got it if you're able to hold it in your hand.
You were just holding up two to the camera, but we were looking at the top. So if one's a little bit floppier.
If one is flopping kind of a little bit.
If one's a little bit stiffer. Okay. Yeah. So you have more than one.
I did. So I'll just open this one, which has not yet.
Well, closer to the mic, open. Please, so we can hear it.
All right. Okay. Here we go.
Right, he's cutting. He's cutting. All right. This half of the top flap is coming off.
Whoa.
He's finishing cutting.
There we go.
All right. He's holding it. He's pulling the comic out with his left hand.
So what have we got in?
And it's a Mask #1. It's
this
the Caleb New cover.
That is right. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be getting this one. I've seen this one turn up in quite a few of the blind bags. So I've got
was it the one in 25?
I'm not entirely sure. I'll take a spoiler. I did buy 5.
It seems like this should be a dedicated episode.
Here's the second one. Okay.
Mark he's cutting it, and
it's open.
Lean it closer, like I'm doing NPR.
Okay.
Out, and it is
standard. That is the standard issue. A. I think
it's cover A. Okay. For a second, I thought it was the foil edition of cover A, but it's not.
I've pre-opened these ones, so they're less surprising for me.
Okay. The third one, Mark is just pulling it out, and it is. Oh, it's the Mask Origins comic book. We talked about this. It's a foil cover, right?
It's a nice silvery. What you can see the
yellow sky, orange Monument Valley buildings. Match Tracker is standing on his car, and it just reprints. It reprints pages from the last 3 months of G.I. Joe and Transformers,
plus the previous Energon Universe special that introduced. So
there was the Andrea and Milana G.I. Joe story from okay. All right, Mark is pulling this fourth one up and out. Did you pull them out previously and you slid them back in? It's another cover A.
Not so exciting. That one.
And then the fifth one, I'm hoping
fifth and final.
All right, Mark, let's get some showmanship.
Okay,
saving this one is for last. It's I'm seeing something kind of red on top. It's stuck. Mark's making an adjustment. He's widening the opening at the top. He's pulling it out, and he's damaged the corner. Don't send that to CGC. What if you cut straight down? There we go. Like you're opening someone up for heart surgery.
Let's do it. Let's just destroy this thing.
I mean the bag.
It's hulking time.
No. Oh, geez.
And
say flip it. It's it's issue 2. Wow. Oh, that's very shiny. And then what is it? Remind us what it says on the bottom corner. Special advance.
Ultra rare advanced edition. So I've not read it yet, but I am able to read the full issue number 2.
I just want to say this out loud. I think people have thought it, but it's so impressive that at the time that Skybound is finished with, has all approvals on, and sends issue 1 off to press, which is several weeks ahead of time, folks, right? Comic books tend to be printed in Canada and they are sent back to the States by truck. But you have to, how long does it take to microwave one dinner? Well, how long would it take to microwave 200 dinners if you were having a bunch of your friends over, right? So how long does it take to print 5,000 or 10,000 or 40,000 comics, and then to put them all in bind the covers, put them all in boxes, put the boxes on trucks, ship them to various places, and Skybound was ready to do that also for this version of issue 2, which is the final comic. It just has a different cover. Very fun and impressive. That means that in a few weeks, when we do a quick Energon Universe check-in about Mask 2, you will have been able to read a physical copy and not a PDF.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And my brother got a few, and he noticed that there was definitely a lot of bunching of issues together. So not necessarily great shuffling, because he bought 5. And can you see on my phone?
Oh, goodness.
It's got 5 Mask issues.
5 Mask issue 2s. And he is attending Joe Fest. Might he bring them and try and sell them?
I suggested that maybe he could bring them along. We've got Infinite Entertainment joining us now as well. Hello there. So moving on, the big bit of excitement is ROM as one of the blind bags. So that was exciting. I think it's introduced to ROM and his special alien poncho. There's a letter in the back that from Robert Kirkman. It's sort of explaining the whole deal with introducing ROM. And, the reveal of ROM there sort of starts putting together the pieces that are on the cover to issue number 32, which is actually advertised in the back of this issue. That kind of guy with the robots, the guy in the background with the red eye.
There's a silhouette behind our 3 protagonists. Can you just go full screen on me for a second? Because this is the ad you just mentioned. So, folks, this is the last page of this week's new issue of G.I. Joe issue 23. It says the quintessence 1. What comes next is more than meets the eye. Void Rivals number 32. It has the credits on the bottom, and then July 2026. So it has the cover of Void Rivals 26. But look what they've done, where it says more than meets the eye. The first 3 letters, MOR, are highlighted in the ROM font, in the ROM logo type. So MOR backwards is ROM. And at first I read that yesterday, and I thought, oh, that's a typo. That seems unlike Skybound. Oh, cute! It's ROM backwards. So once again, very good. And I'm a Marvel fan and I'm a DC fan. But this sort of level of concentrated fun and playfulness and sort of moderated stunts, I feel like this is what you get when you're a small company and you produce, 8 to 10 comic books and 3 graphic novels a month. And, the Marvel machine and the DC machine, those are much bigger. They've got more mouths to feed. So they're making 50 or 100 issues and, 30 to 60 graphic novels a month. Okay. G.I. Joe there was that one.
No more. So it also makes issue 33 a lot clearer, that silhouette. I go, aha, it is ROM. And potentially I think they've been playing with his silhouette, adding in extra bits to make it less clear who it might be, that maybe it's a dire wraith or maybe it's the return of Nemesis. But yeah, it sort of suddenly becomes clear that from that silhouette, certain parts are distinctly ROM shaped.
Here on the cover to Void Rivals 33, where ROM is silhouetted for this sort of spoiler warning version, I note that he's much bigger and taller than our Void Rivals humanoids, who I'm going to guess are all, 6 feet tall. And I'm reminded I was never aware of this in Marvel Comics because I've not really read any Marvel ROM issues. I think I flipped through 1 or 2. Mark Bright, my favorite artist in comics, drew one very early in his career. And that has been collected in an Epic collection, and an omnibus. But the IDW Hasbro universe introduced to me, at some point there was a lineup, like a police lineup. And I don't remember if it was a bunch of characters together or sort of individual images. It sounds like I'm describing a series of variant covers, but ROM is like 12 feet tall or 9 feet tall, at least in that continuity. And I wonder if that's carrying over here. I don't know anything about that in terms of Marvel. I know he's met all the Marvel characters and had an issue that tied in with Secret Wars 2. That was one of 2 comic books at Marvel, not included in the Secret Wars 2 omnibus because of rights issues.
Interesting. Now, while we're on Void Rivals, there was a bit of news in the week that was just too cool not to touch on. It was from the September solicitations for Void Rivals issue number 34, which releases in September, so quite a ways ahead, but this is out there on the interwebs, so if you're going to be spoiled, let's spoil it ourselves. It is Void Rivals introducing Predacron, spelled Predacron, which is a slightly different spelling to what people might recognize, but is an intentional change by Skybound to kind of differentiate items from other characters also called Predacon. So
Mark,
here we go.
Remind us who Predacon is and when did he barely get released in stores?
Yeah, so we're looking at some of these covers with this sort of giant, four-armed, blue-skinned and tentacle-headed bounty hunter who's on 3 of Alien.
Don't forget that word, alien. He's an alien.
On the cover to Void Rivals 34 across at least 4 of them, including Ben Oliver drawing this crazy guy. He was released as a toy by Hasbro called Predacon, missing an R there. 4-armed space monster, thanks to 3D Joes for these images. Great images at high resolution from 3D Joes as always. So he's part of this sort of bizarre alien lineup that they were doing as they were releasing the Star Brigade era. And he's got a little, I'm guessing, non-Larry Hama written file card, a vicious lunatics alien. Let me start again. Predacon makes his living by capturing criminals and selling them back to the galactic authorities. If the authorities reject the criminals, Predacon imprisons them in his private alien zoo. This 4-armed monster is loyal only to his tribal clan on planet Trilenium, and he is proud to wear its ancestral medallion on his chest plate, along with Lunatrix hieroglyphics that are etched on his arm guards. So I think we've long wondered how G.I. Joe might creep into the wider reaches of space with this wider energon universe, in particular Void Rivals over there on the other side of the galaxy. And one of the ways would be to sort of start introducing some of these wilder ideas from the Lunatrix side of this line of characters created and also the unreleased ones. Tim?
Yeah, so just to put a fine point on this, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero toy line, which started in 82, ended in 94, and the final year or two had this Star Brigade subline of Joes and Cobras as astronauts. A few of them were previous figures in new colors, and most of them were new sculpts. And you'd get like Duke as an all-new astronaut and Cobra Commander as an all-new astronaut. If you've heard of Armor Tech, that was a subline of Star Brigade where the figures are a little bit beefier and they don't have the normal articulation, and they can fire a weapon from their sort of robot arms. And Larry Hama did bring Star Brigade into the final year of the Marvel comic. I think that's issues 147, 148, 149, thereabouts. The Joe astronauts go to an asteroid and stop it. And the aliens did not appear. And
I think it's have only ever appeared once in that Tim Seeley written G.I. Joe versus Transformers crossover.
Black Horizon, the 4th and final of the Devil's Due G.I. Joe and Transformers crossovers. This was 2 double-sized issues drawn by Andrew Wildman, which we have covered extensively on this show when we did a big interview with Andrew Wildman, who is great. So the end of the 94 A Real American Hero toy line was canceled, as was all of the 1995 product. And so there are some of these 3 aliens, one of whom is Predacon, that are out there, but hard to find and expensive. And it is funny and wonderful and strange. And I think I can speak for a lot of fans who were my age at the time when this stuff was like barely getting released and showed up in some toy magazines in 94, 95. Like, oh no, don't do that. That feels bad. That feels bad. That doesn't feel like G.I. Joe. And if you talk to marketers like Kirk Bazigian and Vinny DeLeva, or you hear them speak on this at a convention or in a podcast, Hasbro had great reasons for doing this. And if you can separate your sort of dislike of G.I. Joe going to sci-fi, they're really neat toys, but they don't really look like G.I. Joe. All three of them have... Yorktown Joe says that asteroid story arc may have been co-opted for some later sci-fi movies. Indeed. These three aliens of the Lunatics Empire do not have the standard G.I. Joe buck. They're a little bit taller and a lot weirder. Anyway, so it's fun that they'll show up in the Energon universe, and this is a very good use of the sort of the three corners, now four corners of the Energon universe, as Mark said.
Very good. Now, Tim has been chomping at the bit to actually get to G.I. Joe number 23.
Can we just put that one slide on before we get to G.I. Joe? I sent you a slide just before we went live today. I just wanted to recognize a neat story that I read a few days ago at The Beat, which is comicsbeat.com, that John Wagner, co-creator of Judge Dredd and a mainstay at 2000 AD, the British Comics Weekly, right, magazine, has just been recognized in King Charles III's. He's a member of the Order of the British Empire now,
OBE,
which is MBE, right? And there are a couple tiers. There's also Commander of the Order, and then there's Knight or Dame Commander or Knight Dame Grand Cross of the Order. And in that final case, that's where someone gets the title Sir or Dame. And when I saw this news, I just thought, in terms of comics, this is absolutely the most British thing I can imagine, where this British comics writer who co-created the most British comics character has gotten this very British honor from the British monarch. And I was thinking, the first thing I thought was, I bet Mark's excited about this. And then I thought, geez, the only thing that's more sort of quintessentially British in comics is if Alan Moore cosplayed as Captain Britain at Buckingham Palace or something, which is not going to happen. So this is not at all G.I. Joe related, and we don't really talk about larger comics news. But this is cool, and I'm always happy when someone in comics gets one of these sort of governmental type awards, because comics is still comics is in the mainstream, but for a long time it wasn't. All right, G.I. Joe 23.
Yes, indeed. Let's move on to G.I. Joe 23, and let's do it with some credits. So this is brought to us by the regular writer of Joshua Williamson, who's getting busier. He's got a new title just announced, Legion of Superheroes, this last week. Artist Andrea Milana, colorist Lee Loughridge, or however you want to say it. Editor Russ Wooton. Editor is Ben Abernathy. Publication designed Andres Juarez, and production is Abigail Lee. Now, as always, once we've talked about the credits, we have to move on to looking at what they stick on the front of their comics.
Let's have a look at the covers in the gallery.
Cover A of G.I. Joe 23 is drawn and colored by Tom Riley. Black background, no props or physical space, 2 characters, 2 creatures. It's Mercer and Risk, and they are fighting glowing green creatures. Mercer on the top of the cover is fighting a sort of giant werewolf bear. And Risk on the bottom is entangled in and fighting a giant snake with glowing. Both these creatures have glowing orange eyes. I do like this cover. I note that the color scheme is quite similar to the previous issue, right? And that's fun if you have similar issues similar in theme or as part of a story arc, having something uniting them. And certainly this is not a close-up of a guy and his crystal ball, but from very far away, this is more similar than dissimilar to the previous cover. And so if you're looking at it on a rack at a store from far away, you might not know the new issue of G.I. Joe is out if you see next to it crystal ball. But it's still a very cool Tom Riley drawing. And Mark has just put up the original art. And I wanted to sort of ask Mark your take on this. The snake here, even though we think of snakes as Cobra's the bad guys in G.I. Joe, snake motif. But this sort of werewolf like biped here, except for perhaps an accessory in the crystal ball classified toy, this creature we see here has no other specific connection to G.I. Joe, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's kind of horror movie themey, tropey stuff. But I also think that with the Diatech toys, they definitely came with a snake and with like a timber wolf, like a Diatech version of Snake Eyes' wolf. So I think they're just turning up the volume on those concepts. So that's probably the inspiration for that specifically.
Okay. Mark has put on screen a Joshua Cassara thumbnail drawn in red pencil, pen, and a little bit of marker of Risk standing straight, both arms straight in front of him, pointing at us, both guns blasting away with lots of bullet casings flying up, and over his shoulder, I guess strapped to his back, I should say, because there's no over-the-shoulder strap, is his big Winchester, which I keep mistaking as a shotgun. And under this little thumbnail, there's a letter A, which suggests that Cassara drew 2 or 3 or 4 different thumbnails and lettered them A, B, and C, perhaps, and said to his editor, pick one. And then Mark has on screen what must be a photo from Joshua Cassara's social media post of this cover, now in pencil form, and in ink form, an actual scan, not a photo, and now with colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr. This is straightforward, a very G.I. Joe cover, because it's a G.I. Joe character. They've got a G.I. Joe logo on their chest, the star, the italicized star with the 3 stripes. I'm going to call those Uzis. They might be Mac 10s. And Risk is, he's not quite, he's slightly backlit, but the 2 light sources here are the machine guns. So there are some highlights on the sides of his head, whereas the front of his face is somewhat in shadow. And similarly, the tops of his arms and the sides of his legs are catching some of that yellowish light. Similar to the other cover, no specific background, but much more atmosphere. On the top, it's almost black. In the middle, it's sort of orange, burnt umber, brown, maroon, and then a pale orange, and on the bottom, white.
Very good.
Cover C is drawn by Ben Oliver. It's another of these portraits, head and shoulders, what I had been somewhat erroneously referring to as like a police lineup some episodes ago. There's not really a background. It's just that blue-gray with some gradient, which feels a little bit like a concrete wall, but we're not sure. There is a tiny bit of a cast shadow behind the Baroness on either sides of her hair, which does to me suggest it is a wall and that she's close to it, but that could be wrong. She's leaning her head slightly forward and looking straight into your eyes, telling you that you are not worthy. She's looking over her yellow glasses, and there is a I'm going to call it a Mona Lisa smile on her face. She knows something you don't. I think it's how badass she is. And of course, she is in her G.I. Joe armor, which is gray with some blue details and that blue star in the middle. And
they continue to conspicuously add in the little beauty spot on her mole on her chin, which Chameleon also has. I'll just occasionally point that out.
I always forget it, so I appreciate you pointing it out. This is cover C. This is an open to order. It's not a tiered ratio cover, but cover D is.
I don't think this deserves the jingle, Tim. I think we'll allow this one through.
Yes, I don't think that this is a conspicuous Baroness cover, and it's certainly not a retailer exclusive where she's just standing there looking sexier than she needs to. Cover D is drawn and colored by. Oh wait, you helped me out with the proper pronunciation of this. Tansi Zonich.
Tansi Zonich. Yeah.
Tansi Zonich. So this is another of these. This is a 1 in 10, right? 1 in 25. Excuse me. Okay. 1 in 25. This is another of these character portrait head and shoulders at a 3/4 angle, where they are in the positive space of the outline of their weapon shown in profile, pointing up and down. And then the rest of the cover continues the sort of color motif of this character. So in this case, it's the shape of Stalker's machine gun. In that shape, which is black, he's sort of peering out of that blackness. He's all in green, and you see some camo on his chest and shoulder. And then a version of that camo continues all around, but now with no black, just with sort of the middle green, a sort of mint green, and the sort of brownish green. Very cool design cover, right? This is not like a schematic, and it's not just geometric shapes, but this is very much about the interplay and hierarchy of geometric shapes, which is how I define something that's more designed than drawn or illustrated. Certainly he can draw, but this is much more about shapes and how they interact than it is about, this is the example I used last time, like Jim Lee drawing Batman and putting a lot of hatching on Batman's bicep.
And did you spot the character hidden in the background, Tim?
Oh, wow. I did not. Is it Rom?
It's Destro hiding there in the background.
Oh, wait, can you click back without the red lines? Oh, wow. That's okay. So is the idea subtle here that because Destro has a reflective head, the camo pattern is like particularly sort of warped and distressed all over the curvature of like forehead and cheekbones? Did you see it, or did someone show this to you? Because I sort of still don't see it now that you've taken away your red guidelines.
I somewhat saw it. I thought, is that a face? Isn't it a face? And I checked in with Tansi Zonich on his social medias to double check and confirm, and he did. He was able to tell me that yes, it was indeed Destro hiding there. And he said that when he drew it, I think he said his wife came into the room and said, "Oh, look at that face in there." So
this is one of these optical illusions where half the population sees one thing and doesn't see the other, and then the other half it's flopped.
It's a sailboat.
This is a good reminder that this series of covers by this artist, I missed one descriptor here for this new one. The sort of outer area, the background, does feature a villain, and Destro here is so obscured or invisible that I sort of forgot that this series of covers is hero, their weapon, and a villain. Cover E. Can you do E?
Which one is?
It's the Andrea
Milana. Right. Okay.
We're going alphabetically.
Right. Yep. I had these slightly out of order.
Cover E is drawn and colored by Andrea Milana, which is, it's always fun when an interior artist who isn't the series cover artist gets to also not just do one cover, but a series of covers. I very much appreciate that, even though it's sort of Tom Riley's book, because he was the originating artist, he's done all the covers. That the half the issues that he's not drawing, Andrea Milana also gets to do covers. So this is a 1 in 50 variant. And it continues the sort of haunted house theme of last month's Andrea Milana variant cover. So now we're outside. It's nighttime, although interestingly, the sky is all sort of a pale gray. And you could sort of argue that that's the sun, and there's just a lot of sort of smoke and mist. But I'm gonna follow the logic here and say that this is nighttime, and that's the moon. And there is a sort of crumbly, spooky house, maybe even a bit of a mausoleum behind the Baroness, and in the front, oh, she's in a graveyard. Okay, right. So it is a mausoleum, and the camera is low and slightly at a Dutch angle. The Baroness is a little bit small. She's off to the center of the middle of the cover. Her legs are askance spread, and she's sort of turning in surprise to look back at us, where a glowing green corpse hand has popped out of the ground, a la horror films and the Jonathan Landis Thriller music video. There are other glowing green things popping out of the ground. I think Thomas and Martha Wayne have been buried here. There's an angel statue on another sort of super tombstone. There's some trees.
And it pops out over the logo as well. That's great. Yes.
There are a bunch of trees. They don't have leaves, which says to me autumn, maybe winter. Really fun cover. And what I love about this is that I think this happened last month between the Riley and the Milana covers, where you now sort of have two perfect images that either of them could have been the regular cover to represent all the story and character stuff in this issue. And it's like, well, what are you going to do if it's not Mercer and Risk and some monsters? Well, it's the Baroness. So that's lots of fun. And then covers.
And this cover was an homage to a big Italian, European comic, Dylan Dog, less sort of famous over in the West. But the cover to issue 1 of Dylan Dog features hands coming out of the ground and our hero turning and reacting. And here's Mike, just for fun, Mike Mignola sort of recreation to that appeared in a Western reprint.
Yes. In the late 90s, Dark Horse licensed 3 Italian comics and did 6 sort of small collections of each of them. And Mignola was cover artist for the Dylan Dog series. Infinite Entertainment says, I just picked up a bunch of Dylan Dog trades. I can't believe I didn't catch that.
They're really difficult to find. Those.
Yes.
So well done.
Either the American ones or the Italian ones. All right. And then covers F and G. This is the Energon Universe 3-year anniversary. What's a diptych, a triptych, quadtych, quart tip kick. 4 covers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Quadrilogy. Tom Riley has drawn just a stupendous 4-part connecting cover, no logos, no type. Void Rivals is on the left. G.I. Joe is next, then Transformers, and on the right is Mask. These are colored by Adriano Lucas. This one features Duke and Cobra Commander appearing in their Dreadnought War costume changes. Some other Joe characters around them, like Dreadnoks and Stalker and Risk and Optimus Prime. He has put up his Dukes, which is fitting because he's
Duke is
right behind
underneath him.
Duke.
Yeah.
Referring back to a previous Tom Riley G.I. Joe cover during the Dreadnought War. There is a smashed Hiss tank cockpit on the ground. Yeah. Hound is also there with Clutch. And then Thunderhead, who's the like heavy metal sword guy that Daniel Warren Johnson introduced in his Transformers.
Drawing a blank.
Thrash Face.
Yeah,
something Metal
crazy,
Basher.
Yeah.
It's something fun like that. Couple aerial bots and
Shredhead.
Shredhead, thank you. and Thundercracker, and let's not forget my fourth favorite Transformer, Beachcomber. Super fun. I don't really buy variant covers, but I have been so far getting these. The Crusty Old Crow asks us, is ROM in there? That's a good question. I don't think so.
I don't think so. Not unless it could be hidden somewhere, but I've not spotted him.
Same. If it was the case, it would not be in any of these preview images. And B, Skybound would probably have done a social media post where they update the graphics that they have released for these. It's like, also, he's back here and you didn't see him before because we whited him out or something.
Yes, indeed.
Yes. And I'll just once again, I think I should email the Mask Letters page, since Mask and Transformers, since Mask and Transformers are shipping on the same week each month for the foreseeable future because of that Mask scheduling glitch that you can learn about, folks, in our interview with a Mask writer and artist. I wonder if at a certain point, Skybound is going to shift Mask to come out 1 week earlier so that there really is one different Energon Universe comic a week, as opposed to 1 week without any, and then 1 week with two, and then a week with one, and a week with one. Plot breakdown?
Yep. So we're getting into proper spoiler territory now. So let's play a spoiler warning.
Watch out! There's spoilers ahead! Turn back before it's too late!
Yes, indeed. So last time we left the Joe team in the land of Bad Hikistan, where they were investigating an energon source, and they met up with met up is sort of underplaying it. They clashed with cobras before being interrupted by an encounter with dire technology. So we open this issue with the Joe team right in the middle of things, and let's have a recap with a plot breakdown. We open the issue with Risk battling Diatech constructs of his fallen comrades, with his electro-knuckle dusters taking them down. Crystal Ball cranks the tension with a construct of his family estate, and Risk's disappointed parents. Elsewhere, Baroness bumps into Destro and they call a truce. As they explore, they find huge deposits of energon and discover Stalker and Chameleon are hooked up to a torture machine. Back with Risk, his projections are replaced by an all-too-real punch to the face from Mercer. And after they calm down a little bit, Mercer is grabbed by a dire snake. And then finally, Crystal Ball reveals himself to Risk. I mean, he's steps out and says, here I am. He doesn't, zip his pants or anything like that. Anyway, I'm getting a bit off the track. That was that issue. Tim, what did you think?
I thought it was fun. Andrea Milana continues to do such exciting work, even when he's drawing things that are stationary, like a person sitting in a chair looking at some computer monitors. There's a little pep to his line, and certainly when he draws Risk punching some dire corpses, there's a lot of zip to his line. I really like Lee Loughridge's colors this issue. I think I say this every episode, whether it's Jordi Belair or Lee Loughridge, but every 3 or 4 pages, the scene changes or something about the scene changes, and there's a different palette for that scene. And then my last reaction is, since I keep not quite knowing what dire tech is, because I don't pay a lot of attention to the classified toy figures, Mark, I'm looking at panel 1 on page 1 of this issue, and I see Risk firing bang, 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 bang at these corpses. and I note that the bullets are not going through them. So they're not holograms, and it's not a trick in his mind. It's not like a hallucination gas that he's been sprayed with. These are physical constructs because they can, I mean, you know, when you turn the page, he punches one and it gets knocked over, and he snaps another one's neck and it sort of crumples. So I'm getting this right? Muted.
Yeah, you're right. They're physical constructs, and they can interact and do things, but possibly don't quite work in the way as a normal kind of human enemy would work, because, as you say, he's shooting bullets at them. The bullets look like they do hit, but they don't actually do an awful lot. But yeah, Risk has got these electro knuckle dusters, which he is sort of, you know, bashing his fists together and charging, you know, creating a charge there or effect as he does that. And those electro knucks do seem to have quite a high degree of impact on these Dire-Wraith constructs. Although, yeah, MMA wrestling moves and snapping their necks also seems to work. So they do seem like a combination between almost like a hologram that is solid, if that makes sense, that you might see in a Marvel comic,
like the holodeck in Star Trek,
right? So like a combination between a sort of a ghost and a physical generated hologram, let's say.
So if you go back to that first page, what is happening in the second panel? Those sound effects, SPT, spit. Are those what are those sound effects?
I'm not sure. I think that's probably either the bullet getting stuck in these zombies or going through them.
Okay.
I thought initially possibly it's like, go on.
I mean, okay, yes. If bullets wouldn't we need to see those sound effects in the first panel, because the sound effects happen after the first one says, "You will pay for what you did to us, Risk," which just takes like 6 seconds to say.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah. Actually, the shooting and the bullets is happening in that first panel where he's shooting and the bullets are not going through. Maybe it's the noise that the Dire-Wraith zombies, dire projection zombies are making. It's kind of like a
sort of their breathing or their like,
zombie breathing. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
But it doesn't. Okay.
Or creaking as they're moving.
These sound effects on this second panel are confusing to me, and I hope Skybound considers doing a revision for the collection, because I sort of thought, oh, the bullets must be popping out of them. Well, I don't see any bullets. Oh, well, the wounds must be sort of sealing up. Well, I don't see any wounds sealing up. And if what you just described, that's sort of the sound of them like breathing or walking, why is there one all the way on the right over a shoulder? And why are there 4 sound effects for 3 of these creatures? If it's their sort of like general breathing, why not have like wavy word balloons pointing to their mouths? So some piece of information is missing here between the script and the art and the lettering treatment. And I'm not angry. I'm just a little disappointed. But do let us know, Skybound, since you're in the habit of answering all the questions that I toss out rhetorically in my podcast.
You're a little bit like Risk's parents in that respect. Disappointed.
Maybe I should send an email. Are you going to make Mask come out a week earlier? Also, what's happening at panel 2?
So then we're back into Crystal Ball's control room, which last month Tim was a little bit disappointed that they didn't have any graphics on the monitors showing him watching all of the different things happening. This week we very much make that much clearer that he is watching what's going on like a little voyeur on his screens. Chris McLeod, friend of the show, did point out that, you know, is he a bit like that perv in the film Sliver, if you remember that. More Vincent pricing here.
You keep calling him the man in the chair, and I'm thinking of, is it Mad Cave? There's a miniseries that was just published called The Guy in the Chair, which is all about this actual person at this sort of group that's sort of sends like teams into hot zones, and this guy like leaves for the day, and then things go wrong when he gets targeted. And I read the first issue and it was good. Anyway, back to G.I. Joe.
So he's in there monologuing to himself. We assume there isn't anyone else there that he's talking to.
Are you talking about Crystal Ball talking to himself on the top half of page 3, or are you talking about Risk talking to himself on the bottom of the page 3? Because Risk says the zombies are fading away, but so is the hallway. It's taking me someplace else. What the? And I'll admit, folks, I talk to myself a little bit sometimes. And
sometimes
when I was young,
your cats, and you pretend that it can understand.
No, but
it can, of course.
Yes. How dare you, sir?
Right, I forgot.
Also, with my cats, it's also about sort of how you say it. Anyway, when I was young, I promised myself I would never talk to myself, and I do. And it's like really small, innocuous stuff like, where are my socks? Or you sort of like make musical notes as you're looking for your phone, like, da, da, da,
I did come downstairs to get something.
Right. But if
I go back upstairs.
Okay. But if I got home and it's late and it's raining and I'm looking for my key and like there's a monster down the street, I don't know. I'd be like, I need my key. Actually, no, I would. I'd be like, come on, key, come on. I don't know. I feel like it's a little over specific with what Risk is saying. I have been assuming that Crystal Ball is either talking to someone we don't know.
Did you lock the front door, Tim?
No, a bird just bounced off my window. But
wow!
I see it in a branch, and it looks okay.
Oh wow!
Okay.
We have got some good ASMR happening this episode.
The wildlife of Talking Joe. Either Crystal Ball is talking to someone and we don't know it yet, or he's recording himself the way that someone performing an autopsy does.
Okay, I like that explanation that they're living in modern day. They've got technology. They've got a recorder. He can narrate so that possibly the team back at base or for the record, he's able to keep track of what's going on. I like that.
Not Risk. Crystal Ball's recording himself.
Right. Okay.
In which case,
maybe Risk is doing that as well. Maybe. But also comics have their own rules. We've got a long tradition and history of monologuing to explain for the readers because, comics are difficult.
Okay. But here's the other thing. With Crystal Ball, if he is talking into a recording device, I would love a panel halfway through this issue where we see his hand push a stop button. Also, yes, there's a tradition, and certainly in G.I. Joe comics, written by that other guy who writes a lot of G.I. Joe comics, where characters do say out loud what they're doing for the benefit of the reader. But since we don't talk like that, and in comics, we can have a third-person omniscient point of view, why not have these be thought balloons? And I feel like the Energon universe not having any thought balloons, and I don't remember Invincible or other or Walking Dead, one way or the other, having or not having thought balloons. But if I had to put money on it, they don't. And I feel like this is a sort of modern comics post Watchmen decision where thought balloons, just like sound effects, although there are sound effects here, are seen to be as like childish or less serious. And so you don't have them, and they sort of look bad and cartoony because of how you actually draw them. And so here you might have this comic where someone says it rather than thinking it. But I would actually much rather Crystal Ball thinks it. I'm happy to know what he thinks. Even if I don't know what everyone thinks all the time, the writing can be selective.
Yeah. And there's also less of that omniscient kind of thought bubble replacement in terms of the caption boxes as well, which I guess are a bit more of a 90s, early 2000s kind of replacement for thought bubbles.
Yes, the running monologue of, say, Wolverine in a Larry Hama comic, or the X-Men in any like post Claremont comic or Claremont comic. Speaking of captions, I did note that the first panel on the first page of this issue does not have a caption box that says Badhikistan. And I'm reminded that when this story gets collected in a book, there will not be a page with cover art or a chapter break separating the last page of the last issue and this first page. So even though
it's a continuous story when it's collected,
I wouldn't mind it for this issue, but in the long run, you don't need it.
And it looks like Crystal Ball is using his actual crystal ball, the one with sort of tentacles surrounding it and a skeleton skull in the middle. It looks like he's using that as a kind of Diatech remote control, which is interesting. So in the comments, Yorktown Joe says, I hope that the bird wasn't a dire sparrow projection trying to infiltrate Tim's mind.
Don't worry, I have a gun ready and I would shoot it.
Oh, crikey. And the art of Brunson, new to the show, comments, says, finally caught you guys live. Love the show. Welcome aboard to Alive. So next up, we are changing perspective for Risk, and he's moving away from this corridor with his former teammates that were sort of killed by a mistake that he made, and back home to stately Wayne Manor. It's my family's estate, but it's not. What kind of hell is this? And where the hell are G.I. Joe and Cobra? And then we're shifting perspective back to Baroness, who looks like she's in the dark somewhere, and she bumps into...
She grabs her glasses. A small detail I appreciate.
Okay, you like
them, and then she has them.
The Velma shtick from Scooby-Doo. And then
she can't see the ghost because she's not wearing her glasses.
And then there's a meet cute, kind of meet cute with Baroness and Destro. They have encountered each other previously in the pages of the comics, but not kind of one-on-one as we see here.
Was that in issue 6?
Maybe 5. Yeah, roundabout then, towards the back end of that first arc there. In Destro's Mars Industries, and the Joes have been captured, and she's showing a bit of attitude towards Destro, and he seemed to like that.
And they do not meet in the Destro miniseries.
No,
she's not in that.
Nope.
But her twin sister is. I mean,
look at that sound effect.
I was just gonna say, look at that sound effect. That's really funny. Because What are the letters you would choose? And it doesn't have to be a word. What are the letters you would choose for the onomatopoeia of someone kicking someone, but the other person stopping their foot and ankle in both hands, right? It might be like THP or THWP. It wouldn't do thwip because that's Spider-Man shooting his webs. You might do like POC, POK, or like PAT, like pat, or a small thump, like lowercase THUMP. But here it's just the word catch.
There we go. Shall we skip ahead to the next page? They have a little bit of back and forth. Destro says that he knows who she is.
In Scotland, we would hear wild tales of Anastasia Sisanovra. You are a legend in my community.
I was just wondering myself, what community is that exactly? Is that metal-faced Scottish aristocratic weapons dealer community?
I think that's just the weapons dealer community. I think he knows mercenaries, and he knows army, and he knows terrorists.
Okay, the terrorist social network.
Oh, and assassins. Don't forget. I bet he knows assassins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm surprised you would waste your talents with G.I. Joe, but I would rather survive by your side than fight today.
Are we getting a team up? Are we getting a truce where they fight a common enemy, Tim?
I just want to point out that once or twice in the animated G.I. Joe and Transformers... let's see. In the Games Master in season 1, 1985, a terrifying man-child kidnaps 2 Joes and 2 Cobras, and they awaken on his island where they have to survive his childish death traps. And everyone else loves this. It doesn't matter to me, folks. The Baroness spends the whole episode in a bikini, and I appreciate here that she's just in her battle armor. That episode does not, or does it involve Destro? It's Flint and Lady J and Baroness and Cobra Commander, right? Destro's not in that episode. And there's a great line at the end where now that they've defeated this man-child and they can leave the island, Flint says, Cobra Commander, you go first. And Cobra Commander says, and leave my rear unguarded, you'll shoot us down. You go first. And Flint goes, well, then we'll go first. And Cobra Commander says, no, then you'll circle around and shoot us. And the camera pulls back. And I think the episode ends with sort of, they're never going to get out of there because Cobra Commander won't trust anyone. And then there's an episode in Deke's first season in fall of 1990 where Pathfinder is handcuffed to Cobra Commander, and they spend the whole episode together like that. And it's hilarious. And there's, I'm sure, 1 or 2 other examples. I can't quite remember. And it happens once or twice in Transformers. But as a kid, I loved this, where the specific, I think He-Man and Skeletor do it a few times, since He-Man's in the news these days with that movie. But the moment where someone says, we have to work together to stop our common enemy. And then someone else says, okay, but only as long as necessary. And I love it. So,
and here it is. The moment we find our people, it's over. So then we're back to Risk. There's a change of color treatment to show that we've shifted, and we're inside of that manor.
We go from greens and blues to purples and violets.
And he's looking up the staircase to this grand portrait of a stern-looking dad with slightly wild eyebrows, the mother, and a young Bruce Wayne. I mean, a young Risk sat next to them. And do you know what I thought when I saw this particular portrait, Tim? What did I think back to? I thought back to this page from Duke number, I think this is number 3, where we get introduced to the Baroness. And there is a little portrait on this particular page, which shows the Baroness and her parents. And I had to flip back and say, did they look the same? Could they be the same parents? But they do look different. They don't look like they're this portrait of the Baroness with her father, his curly moustache, and her slightly what would we describe this mother figure's sort of expression? It's
matronly disdain, and her hair is tied back.
Yeah, she's looking a bit unhappy.
I think this is a fun, I'm going to call it a coincidence. I don't think Risk and the Baroness are siblings. I don't think they have the same parents. I do think if you have rich people, maybe even European rich people, and they grow up in fancy houses, if you've got 20 of them, I don't know, 15 of them are going to have someone paint their portraits, and half of those are going to be with their kid who they need to ship off to boarding school. And the father's always going to look stern, and the mother's always going to look put upon. I do hope at some point, just as a little balance, since the world is not full of rich offspring of European like aristocracy, I do hope at some point we see like a photo of Stalker and his parents, or like in sort of normal situation, or a photo of Clutch and his like uncle and his aunt in a normal situation, not in a crazy painting at the top of a grand stairwell. That's a good catch. I had forgotten that we had seen Baroness like that.
I love this. Infinite Entertainment imagines a scenario where Risk is sat in his mansion, and through the window flies a Risk board game. Yes, father, I shall become a Risk. Well done.
And then the colors change again. Oh, you want to talk about what Risk is overhearing?
Oh yes, so he's beginning to overhear his parents. He sort of hears the noise, and I'm guessing that this is not necessarily an actual exchange that he's remembering, but more of the feeling of kind of, sense that his parents were disappointed in him, and he's sort of almost like a nightmare, a sort of an amplified version of that feeling. And they're saying, he's such a troublemaker, a bully. The boy can't stop getting into fights. He's so thin-skinned, takes everything so personal. He didn't get that from my side of the family. My side couldn't have birthed such a creature of violence. He likes hurting people. The school kicked him out again. None of the schools will take him, no matter how much we pay him. And there's a strange panel of
this is page
of his mother there. This is the back to the portrait, and the portrait image has changed, and his mother now has got like a metal fire poke sort of piercing her chest.
Fireplace poker. Yeah. So panel 3 of page 9, as Risk has sort of walked through the room and the running over her dialogue continues, the sort of quote camera sort of pans. It's not a movie, it's a comic, past this painting, which for a moment is unchanged from how we saw it the previous page. And then panel 4, the sort of, it's not a movie, it's a comic, there are no pans. But the pan to the rest of the painting shows, it sort of focuses on Risk's father's hand, which is no longer on the back of the chair. And the chair's, but now it's sort of just hanging as if he's just used it, and sticking out of Risk's mother's chest is a fireplace poker, and she's slumped over a bit, and there is some blood.
Yep, around the wound, but so it seems to be hinting at tragedy.
Terrible happened. Or I'm sure something actually terrible happened, but in this sort of nightmare possibility where it's not actual dialogue that Risk remembers, it's an exaggeration. I do think it's possible that this didn't actually happen. Like Risk's father didn't murder his mother, and that Risk's mother wasn't murdered. It's just that Risk is imagining horrible things that could have happened. I don't think that's what did happen. I think it is one of those first two. But anyway, would this be the first? Would it be the first G.I. Joe character who we know whose parent killed their other parent? So then on page 10, now we have this sort of POV shot. It's at a Dutch angle. We are looking into this grand room with a grand fireplace, and the two parents are sitting on a couch and a chair, and they are in their sort of smoking jacket, bathrobe
type thing, yeah.
Bathrobes. And they sort of lunge forward at us, as if to attack Risk himself. And then Andrea Milana does a copy and paste from several pages earlier of Cristobal in his chair looking at his monitors. What's on the monitors is different, and the colors are different, and I'll accept it. No problem. I'm just pointing it out because we sometimes point out that kind of art thing. This is not a complaint. And then Risk fights his parent holograms. I should say his parent holodeck apparitions, because they are physical. One grabs him by the neck, and he is being grabbed by the neck. It does not pass through him like in Ghostbusters. He does not get slimed.
No. So yeah, they're, his parents are, disappointed in him. They say that he wouldn't stop fighting, should have been more disciplined. And then we sort of skip scene to a fighting cage. And he says that he didn't feel, afraid of a cage, that's kind of his happy place. But then it punches him. It is a Mercer. And we've got this, I love this panel of, Risk taking a punch to the face. Some people might say that, they just love seeing him take a punch to the face anyway, but this distortion, and it's sort of really kind of, upping that kind of manga, kind of feel to this particular panel with, that sock to his old mug.
Yeah, the camera's at waist height and it's tilted up. So Mercer's already a huge character, and he's sort of looming even more now. And subtly, Andrea Milana sort of exaggerates the foreshortening of Mercer's arm coming at us. It's like a little bit longer, a little bit bigger than it might be. And I think part of what you're describing is the sort of cheek,
absolutely,
ripple that Risk's face is getting sort of pushed and compressed, and there's the sound effect is so big it goes way off the page, and it must be KRAK crack. But that first letter could be, that could be an R, that could be an X. It's in a good way hard to tell. And then they become friends.
Yeah, they do become friends. They in a few pages time anyway. Mercer is sort of somewhat seems to be enjoying this sort of fisticuffs, but we skip scene and color lets us know very clearly that we're somewhere else as Baroness and Destro find this giant energon deposit, lots of energon crystals in these tubes. We might imagine that these are fueling the crystal balls sort of diatech from these deposits, and they both sort of comment on, to one another, kind of their respective missions. That Cobra Commander believes there are deposits all over the world, and Baroness reveals that Hawk knew that there was energon here. Hawk, aka Zartan, who I think had access to the Cobra information. And they're, speculating about how much one of the others knew. And I guess as this plot develops, we think that maybe Crystal Ball might be in cahoots. Maybe Cobra Commander knows more than he is letting on and is sending them on this mission to be caught in the trap. But I've got a theory, Tim.
Yes.
My theory is that Crystal Ball is being funded and working with someone. My theory is that is Flag. After all, he has not put himself outside. Flag has got big deposits of energon, and he is not above
to fix up Transformers.
Indeed, and he is not above working with someone who is, let's say, bad, to kind of advance his own his own kind of interests. So previously he was working with Miles Mayhem before he sort of went too far. So maybe he's willing to compromise his moral standing and fund Crystal Ball's energon experiments.
Maybe Crystal Ball and Miles Mayhem are friends. I'm reminded here, and I'm sure everyone has thought of this in the last 3 episodes. I'm reminded here that if Hawk is actually Zartan, and Zartan knows everything that sort of Hawk would know about energon and where it is, but certainly, and the Dreadnoks had access to energon in the Cobra Commander miniseries. When Cobra Commander went and found them and then tortured them and killed some of them, then Hawk, Zartan, also knows about all of that energon that's in the bayou that the Dreadnoks know about. And so this is another small step in there being these factions where it's not just Cobra versus G.I. Joe, it's Cobra and versus the Dreadnoks versus G.I. Joe. And then there's this interesting bit, I've mentioned before how something that impresses me with fiction writers, which is not something that I really can do, is sort of keeping track of who knows what, so that when a character meets someone, they might say, it's like, but I found the bloody dagger. And then someone's like,
what bloody dagger?
Well, someone's like, yes, I saw that 5 days ago. It's like, oh, right. The writer's keeping track of who knows what, when, and who has met who. And here on this 4th panel, where we're now on page, I lost track. Was it?
This is 14.
13, 14. Destro says, your leader may be a bad guy. He says, at least that's the impression I had after he agreed to meet with me. And so Destro is now revealing and teasing and planting a seed of doubt, a big seed of doubt with the Baroness, which harkens back to Destro. Remind me, Destro met Hawk at the end of the Destro miniseries?
This was a few issues ago. There was a sequence just ahead of us finding out the Hawk is actually Zartan. He meets on his boat, on Destro's boat. They have a falling out. The Destro reveals that the G.I. Joe team has got a transformer, I think. And then they start shooting at Hawk, and he runs away and flies off. And in the process, gets a bit damaged, I think. And then we next see Hawk taking off his...
Who did Destro meet in the Destro miniseries?
That was Flag.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, I'm getting Hawk and Flag mixed up. And I will keep doing that until they have very different costumes. And sorry, the sunglasses aren't enough for me. They should be. They're not. They should be. And then the Baroness says, you met with Colonel Hawk? And before we can have any exploration or closure of this, now she's got doubt, and this might be the beginning of him turning her into a villain, or she decides that the Joes aren't worth helping, or she goes it alone and she becomes her own faction, but she definitely doesn't trust Hawk, whatever it is. Before they can continue this line of conversation, someone off panel goes, "Ah!" And they run. And on the next page, we see, as you mentioned in the plot breakdown, we see Chameleon and Stalker hooked up to this torture machine. So we've not seen them, right? So they were everyone got separated in that sort of like alley road, like cobblestone driveway in the previous issue, and we have not checked in with Chameleon or Stalker until now, and Baroness maybe wants to pull them out, and Destro thinks maybe that's a bad idea, and then there are some creeping tentacles.
What about this bit of dialogue? What's it doing? Clearly it's torturing them. How can you be so calm when it's hurting her? Because I know Astoria can take it. It's a truly loving relationship, clearly.
Yes, I don't think there's much love in their relationship. I think there's hot passion and maybe some bondage and some dominance and some submission.
Wow.
I mean, look at his costume. You and I forget how incredibly dramatic and flamboyant that costume is. But Mark, if I showed up for the next episode, not with this button-up shirt and this t-shirt under it, but just the button-up shirt and my shiny red jewel of a necklace, right? And you could see my amazing pecs and chest hair. You might think, Tim's going a little further than most people do in their normal day-to-day fashion and podcasting. It's like every so often I just have to remind myself that, like, Dr. Mindbender, it's like, yeah. Like, no, if I showed that toy to anyone else, they'd be like, what is this? What is this? Right? Like with Star Wars, you don't get a lot of that because characters tend to have like jackets and shirts and pants, or like pilot jumpsuits, right? Even the aliens. Like Greedo is just wearing pants and a shirt and a vest. But imagine if Greedo had no shirt and a red gem around his neck, right? Going somewhere solo. It's like, oh man, Greedo's here.
Dr. Mindbender, he really needs to tone things down before he goes to that freaky sex party.
It doesn't have to be sex. It could be any kind of freaky party.
Okay, just a regular old freaky party.
So then there's a fight.
There's a fight. They bond over the fight. I think Mercer quite likes it. What does he say? Where's the Anyway, they seem to have a little bit of a bonding moment.
Holy crap! You're right, you big dummy. Oh, come here, you noogie. Gonna give you a noogie. I do like that they have this moment where Mercer says, no, use your pain for your benefit. And then go back a page.
There he is. It's at the very end. He says, I'm starting to like you, buddy. You're a real mess, but at least you know how to throw a punch.
Yes. So in the same way that this issue has a little bit of sort of balance and counterbalance where Destro teases something to Baroness that might be planting the seed of her leaving the good guys. Mercer teases something that might be planting a seed where he's gonna, I wouldn't go as far as saying leave the bad guys, but he likes one of the good guys. And if he likes one of the good guys, it might be harder to punch and kill that good guy. And then later, Risk can say, do you want to join the Joes?
And then we get some exposition, don't we? About
go back one page. Now that I'm thinking on this bottom panel, I do feel like in the same way, in terms of balancing, in the same way that Destro says, "Oh, I know something you don't, Baroness." Here, Risk gives something away. He gives something to Mercer, some of his secret pain, one of his secrets, and he says, no, this is my failure. I was wrong. I miscalculated and lived. And the camera's low, and we're looking past the dire tech sort of hologram of Risk in the past, having survived that massacre, that assault. And I thought when I read this, I don't know if I was Risk and I was a good guy in this top secret team, if I would actually say what this is so specifically to Mercer, because now you're giving him some leverage over you. But then I thought just now in rereading it, well, these two characters are going through this crazy nightmare that is basically alien in its sort of level of complexity and technology, even though it's, well, it's energon. It is alien, but they don't know that yet. But it's like the craziest holograms that they can imagine. And, Mark, if you and I were mortal enemies and we were trapped in an elevator and the elevator started like dripping blood, I might say, oh no, blood. And you might say something like, no, you use your fears to your benefit. I'd be like, no, I'm a vampire. I like drinking blood. This analogy is not working anymore. But anyway, you and I might say something like, okay, let's say we're trapped in an elevator, and I'm like, oh man, I'm claustrophobic, right? It's such a crazy scenario where you and I are in Badhigistan, stuck in an elevator, having just fought holographic snakes and werewolves, that I might just tell you this because I'm skipping past my normal architecture of sort of security and safety and not telling top secret things to an international terrorist. That's you in this analogy, Mark. You're the terrorist. Okay. I'm Risk. I'm on the Joes in this analogy. Anyway, so then we're still in flashback, and
so we get to find out a lot more about kind of Risk's backstory. He says, "I was wrong. That wasn't a secret. Everyone knew. They wanted to send me home, but I begged. I'd go anywhere else, deep undercover, war zones, whatever. I had to make up for what I did. That isn't when I joined G.I. Joe. I took all the dangerous missions so that no one else had to. I saw things, man. I did things that if the rest of the G.I. Joe ever knew, ...
So this is where I think it goes too far. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have bonded enough over like, oh, you know how to take a punch, or you know how to throw a punch, or, oh, we fought our way out of this. I don't think they need to be fighting. I don't think Mercer needs to try to kill Risk right here. The crusty old crow says they're just rationalizing openly against a common obstacle. I feel like Risk would say this to one of the other Joes. I don't think he would say all of this to Mercer, unless there had been another scene in some other previous issue of G.I. Joe where they came to a little bit of an understanding, and Risk feels like Mercer isn't the full villain, and there's maybe something good or redeemable about him. I feel like half this dialogue should be more vague, and Risk should just say something like, like, that's my secret pain. You don't get to know. And then if if Joshua Williamson wants us to know more specifically, then like that should be in the flashback that only Risk is experiencing, or Risk is doing it with thought balloons, or it's not Mercer, it's like Stalker who's here. So I do like this page. I don't think it actually works. I don't think it follows like G.I. Joe writing logic. Did not ruin my enjoyment of this issue.
I wouldn't tell the rest of G.I. Joe this, but because we bonded, I'm telling you, kind of thing. It's maybe a step too far.
Okay. How about this? Let me give Joshua Williamson a little bit of runway here. If I'm going to pretend that this scene where they're seeing his like secret pain goes on another page, and they like see a scene together, Mercer and Risk, where Risk is on some mission and he like assassinates a president or something, or like kidnaps a child. You know, I've seen things, I've done things. And then Mercer's like, oh man, you are hardcore. And Risk has no choice but to sort of own up to it. Like, I'm a villain like you. Yeah, I killed that kid, or whatever it is. And then the final 2 or 3 panels of this page could unfold. So on a technicality where I'm inventing something that's not in the comic, I'll allow it.
But yeah, we don't get too much chit chat because we're immediately into a bit more action. Out comes a dire snake who grabs and wraps around Mercer and whips Risk with his tail with a smack, and sort of quite directly calling back to that front cover, which is always nice to see, sort of the front cover and the insides at least having some sort of connectivity between them. And then he's thrown across the room with a crash. And then we start to hear off panel, Crystal Ball, who is back. Should we have some more Vincent pricing from you, Tim?
I'd love to. I just want to point out that there's a different lettering treatment for Crystal Ball's dialogue. Earlier in the comic, when he's looking at his monitors, his word balloons are normal black outlines with black letters. But here, when he's wearing his scary mask and he's talking in his sort of booming, hypnotic, holographic projection voice, all the lettering is green. Very cool panel here on the second to last page where Risk gets slammed into the I actually don't know if it's the wall or the floor, but I feel like Milana is like just flipping the view 180 degrees just to sort of accentuate that Risk is like actually sort of disoriented from getting smacked by a green holographic snake tail. Crystal Ball says, I've seen enough, Risk. You've proven my dire tech is a success. It uses energon to make your nightmares a reality. An amazing interrogation tool. There are people who wish to steal it from me. The people who sent you. But you've given me an opportunity for a different kind of experiment. I know your secrets. I know your fears. And if you don't tell me who sent you and why, I will use them to kill you. And then he does the Thriller laugh again. Speaking of terrifying, there's this, we have not seen this, right? Or was it on a cover? It was on a cover to the previous issue, a variant cover. So the action figure for Crystal Ball comes with this green translucent Cthulhu inspired. Is it a mask or is it like a replacement head? Do you pop off the head and put this one on?
I'm not 100% sure. I think that might be a head. I'm not 100% sure on that one. It might. It's possible.
And then a mask. A shield that looks like it came from some Conan stories, because it's got a whole bunch of overlapping snakes on it in that same translucent green plastic. But here on the final page of G.I. Joe, and plus that sword. Crusty Old Crow tells us it is a replacement head. So here, Andrea Milana is drawing very specifically this character with 3 accessories from the classified action
and
figure.
I think probably looking at this picture as he's drawing it.
This is a Hasbro promotional image from when the Crystal Ball action figure was announced. Sort of nighttime scene, a little bit of like pebbly rocks on the ground and some smoke, and photographed a little bit at a Dutch angle. Mark, is Dire Tech with DIRE as an acronym, is that going to be how we get dire wraiths in the Energon universe? And also, am I the first person in all of fandom to ask that question?
Maybe to both. Yeah.
Because Skybound needs to make them somehow different. I mean, they're alien shapeshifters in, I guess, the Marvel continuity and the IDW continuity. They look different when they're in their sort of native forms. I don't really know what they look like in the Marvel run, and I don't quite remember, but I remember being sort of disappointed by what they look like in the IDW run. The crusty old crow says, if we get Rom, we need dire wraiths. Great point. So Mark, did you want to say something about this final page or two before I ask my big question?
No, I mean, it's a great cliffhanger. You always sort of want to end on the issue wanting to see what happens next. So yeah, a great way to end the issue. I'm loving this story. It's a great introduction to Crystal Ball, and I love that they sort of got this Cthulhu head look into the book as well. It's a great, fascinating, crazy look. It's fun to see here.
So thinking about how the first panel of the next page might go, and I have 3 guesses. 1, Risk punches or kicks Crystal Ball. 2, Mercer shows up having been bitten by a green snake and punches or kicks Crystal Ball. 3, Destro and Baroness run in and punch or kick Crystal Ball. I do not think that Crystal Ball is going to successfully stab or skewer or kill Risk with that sword. But I do note that the end of the letters page says, next issue is nuts. It gets scary and then deadly. Get ready for some twists and turns. And I thought, well, do they mean deadly in the really general, like comic book, like everything's exaggerated superlative kind of way? Like deadly stakes for Risk and Mercer in the clutches of Crystal Ball. Or are they actually going to make someone dead, that is, kill someone? And I don't think they are, but we have been surprised a couple times at the deadly stakes of this series and this universe. They certainly kill a lot of Transformers over in the pages of Transformers. So I don't think they're going to kill Risk. But for a moment, I thought, is it possible one of these characters in this story arc is going to actually die?
Indeed. I look forward to it. Should we touch on some of the letters in the letter page?
Yeah, there's a letter by a guy with a first name that I recognize, and it sort of felt like a letter someone I know would write, but I also thought that person might sign off a little more specifically. So, Mark, is there a letter you want to talk about specifically?
Yeah, we can touch through them. It's a sort of Talking Joe, sort of a homecoming sort of letter page. There's in the second letter which is by Scotty. He does say, I'm not just I'm not just shamelessly using the letters page to promote my favorite G.I. Joe podcast like Talking Joe, and might have mentioned some others. So thanks to Scotty, who I think this is one of multiple letters that he's now had published. So well done, Scotty, and thanks for giving.
Finish the sentence. He continues. I do appreciate hearing interviews from the creative teams on those podcasts whenever they happen, and that is something we do. So yes, thank you, Scotty.
Very good. And then we have also got a letter from other friend of the show and regular Facebook contributor Luke. Who sort of asks about the mission log numbers on the inside front covers, which I think only Luke has noticed. And then he also, he put not too long ago, he put a post on the Facebook group about the Arashikage symbol that was on in issue 21, page 6, where he noticed it was different from the usual Arashikage symbol, and he asked about it in the Facebook group. I don't think he was entirely satisfied with the answer he got back from us about it. So he's written in about it as well. So this is the symbol as it appears. It looks very much like the Arashikage symbol that we know, but it's got an additional middle kind of dash in there. And I think that's probably the artist just having a little bit of fun and trying to do something different, of having sort of a dash. But the answer,
or the artist getting it slightly wrong, because
I don't.
I mean, hasn't Larry Hama said that like he picked one of the symbols of the I Ching, and
yep,
it needed to be one that he could sort of do over and over without quite remembering it. But there are plenty of others. So okay, so back to you.
So yes, it's broken solid. But you know, there's three dashes there instead of two. The explanation they give, I think, is worse than my artist interpretation, having a bit of fun with it. It's the same logo we've seen, but the wind was causing the flag to fold and look different. Yeah, I don't think that's the case looking at this image, but
just mention it's the snow. The snow's getting in the way. That's why there are other things that are broken up.
Yeah. So there we go. Two Talking Joe contributors making an appearance there, and here we go with a third from someone called Mark, who may or may not have had his shameless promotion of Talking Joe in his normal signature removed for purposes of the letters page. Thank you, Ben Abernathy. So here we go with a dramatic reading of this particular issue, this particular letter. Just trying to find my normal letters music. Here we go. A little bit of Pachelbel for you, Tim. Yo, Ben and Josh, what an absolute treat issue 21 was. Anytime that Tom Riley returns to G.I. Joe, it is a delight. The silent issue is a well-worn Joe trope at this point, but this issue delivered 20 pages of awesome, which surpassed my high expectations from Josh and Tom. While it was a shame not to have the dream team with Geordie Belair on colours, Lee Loughridge did a stand-up job. The final panel of the book left a lingering impression on me. In the original A Real American Hero issue 21, the final panel revealed a mysterious red tattoo that served as the setup for a mythology which defines G.I. Joe for years to come. Here we see through a Valkyrie's battle-damaged visor, striking red eyes. What does it mean? Could it be related to Cobra Commander's body horror giant test tube experimentation? I look forward to the reveal of this particular mystery in issues to come. Hopefully, also drawn by Tom Riley.
And then Ben Abernathy says, "Thank you for the letter, Mark. You won't have to wait long to find out more about that Valkyrie. Keep reading." And then Joshua Williamson in italics says, "We debated a lot if this should be a silent issue. It somewhat came down to thinking of myself as a reader. If it had not been silent, I would have been disappointed as a reader. So I knew as the writer I couldn't not do it. I had to. Also, it was an opportunity to show how amazing Tom is. And yeah, this issue introduced a subplot with the Valkyrie and her connections to Cobra Commander that will play out over the next year." And then he goes on to say, "I'm never going to put the full signature from your emails in the letters page ever again. No one will ever know that you're the co-host, and main driver of the Talking Joe podcast. So stop signing off your name with that."
I'll leave it to Scotty to mention the podcast if I'm not allowed to.
Cool. It may have just been for space.
Yeah, maybe. But although if it had read Mark Talking Joe Seddon, that wouldn't have added any additional lines. But good to hear that sort of aspect of the Valkyrie mystery will keep on rolling, and that possibly some of my instincts on it might have been relatively right. So good stuff there, and another letter in the letters page banked. Gitty.
I forgot to say this at the beginning. Funny buying a comic book thing. I want to do these episodes holding the physical object and not reading from a preview copy. And if we record on a Saturday, that means that hopefully we're doing it 3 days after that issue came out, which means I have to get my copy at my store, 4 or 3 or 2 or 1 days before the podcast. And I had a little trip this week, so I was not at home on Tuesday when I would normally get my issue of G.I. Joe. Like, I subscribe to G.I. Joe at my own comic book store, and it does get set aside for me. And the plan had been that I would get back Friday afternoon and jog to my store, right? I would have been on the train all day, so I need to like move my body and shake off the creaks, right? So I was going to jog to my store and get issue 23 of G.I. Joe Friday afternoon and have that much time to read it and think about it before we did this episode a day later. And I was in New York with my buddy Nick, who Talking Joe, a Real American Book fans may know is editing my G.I. Joe history book, and I've known for a very long time. And I met up with Nick in New York, and he said, we have to go to the new Barcade, which is downtown. And I mean downtown specifically as a place in Manhattan. I don't mean generically we went into the city. I mean downtown, not midtown, not uptown. And he said, we should go to Forbidden Planet because it's right near there. We were going to go to one of the comic book stores that was near there is renovating. So we took the subway and we went to Forbidden Planet, and because I like going to comic book stores, and we're looking at the new comics rack, and I thought, maybe I should.
With it. Yes, get on with it.
So I bought the new issue of G.I. Joe, not my copy at my comic book store, but at another comic book store in New York, so that I would have it in case anything went wrong with the train. And I didn't really have time to go to my comic book store after getting home from New York before our episode. And in fact, something went wrong with the train.
Oh.
And I got home several hours later. It's fine. And so I read it on the train because I had bought a copy in New York. And now I will go to the comic book store and take my copy out of my pile and release it back to the regular New Comics rack. Not the most interesting story I've ever told on this show. And I think the first time you've ever interrupted me with a video jingle to get me to hurry up, probably not the last time. But I do, when I started reading G.I. Joe for many years, I knew where every single issue of G.I. Joe that I had bought had come from. If it was at a convention, when my brother and I were getting our back issues and filling out our collection, if it was a new issue, if it came from, this bookstore or this spinner rack or this comic book store. And there's a lot less of that since I just have my own store now. But once or twice in all these years now of doing the podcast, Mark, because of travel, I have needed to find a comic book store and get the issue because of the time sensitivity, the sort of limited window of between getting it and us doing the episode. And I was just sort of tickled pink. Also, Forbidden Planet had the center holds, which I appreciated. The Center Holds, folks, a 4-issue miniseries by Boom Studios that I put together, written by Larry Hama, drawn by Mark Brights. You should go get it because it's pretty good. And that's it. Are we done?
Yeah, no, interesting. You reminded me of, getting G.I. Joe in interesting places. There was a time when I was living in Sydney,
Wait, Mark froze. Sydney, Australia? Oh no, the story was just getting interesting.
I was living in Sydney, Australia, and I was getting the Devil's Due comics as they were coming out in, 2002-ish. So from a comic shop in central Sydney, Australia.
Were these from a different publisher, or were these licensed? These were the
Devil's Due ones. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
yeah.
okay. How long? How many issues? How long was that for?
it's probably about half a year. I would have thought that I would have been going to that comic shop. And
this is funny that has not come up in any of our Devils Do Disavowed episodes, but I'm delighted to hear this story. And that's it. I think we're done. We're done.
Yeah, we've got some showing this public. So they're looking forward to G.I. Joe versus Night Force in the pages of G.I. Joe 25, which will be.
It says double sized. It doesn't say oversized. It says double sized.
That means 40 pages, right?
I think so, unless they're doing that math where double size means by 50%, so it's 30. Anyway, it's gonna be great.
Anyway, yeah, and art shawls shared by both Riley and Milana, and Riley and Williamson had an interesting interview with BMAC from Hasbro, which was dropped as part of Yojo June on the Hasbro channel, and one of the reveals was that Tom Riley was working on G.I. Joe issue number 26 as at the time of recording. So great to hear that he's back on the book for basically the next arc, which will be great. Tim, this time, next week, we will be in Augusta, Georgia at Joe Fest. We have got a table, V25 in the vestibule near the registration, where we will have a bunch of stuff that people can pick up. And if we're there, you can see us. And if we're not there, we'll be walking around the floor doing panels. We've got a panel ourselves at 4 p.m. on the Saturday, which we will record for the channel, talking to Mr. Larry Harmer and some of the G.I. Joe artists. It will be a fun weekend, and I've got some cool stuff we can talk about. So we've got our panel. We have got 100 plus comics to give away in the Talking Joe blind bags. Look something like this, sort of mystery bags that will contain a skybound comic and a few comics from other eras as well. But
no unwanted variants of Mask #1.
No, I might bring something along and you can buy them, but I'm going to give away these comics. So these are freebies to Talking Joe listeners, and we'll be doing little fun drops across the weekend, I think. And they'll contain Talking Joe stickers and trading cards and flyers, as well as the comic. And also revealing here for the first time that there will be a Talking Joe Rod Wiggum collab, because at his table he will have an exclusive limited print, the Rod Wiggum table number 215, which is this commission of Snake Eyes in homage to my favourite issue of G.I. Joe, issue number 31 that he drew. And it's a newish commission coloured by Simon Gower. And there'll be a very limited number of prints that you will be able to get from Rod Wiggum only at Joe Fest 2026. So that's my breaking news of the episode.
That's exciting. Folks, if you see us and you want to introduce yourselves to us, please do. If I'm blinking a lot, I might be I might have low blood sugar. Conventions, sometimes you forget to eat, and so if you introduce yourselves to us, one of us or both of us, we would love to get a photo with you. And if I'm faltering or repeating myself, it's because I need to go get a snack. It's not you, it's me. What was that last bit you just put on screen? What did Greg
Russia Crow says, I will see you gents out for Joe Fest for sure. And Greg Augustine G Unit says that After Action Report will be next to Rod Wiggum.
Right.
And cool. So I think that is us done. I was just going to say there's a bunch of there's the print. And there's going to be a bunch of artist types at Augusta for Joe Fest. There will be George Vega, who's now done a handful of variant covers. I think 3 total, I want to say. Chris Mooneyham will be there. The very exciting artist of G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, from Skybound. That's more of us. Larry Hama will be there as well as the guest of honor.
Never heard of him.
And it sounds like he's got an interesting panel on the morning of the Saturday with Big Bad. Yeah, is it Big Bad Workshop? So I'm guessing there might be an interesting reveal. I don't have any inside knowledge, but my guess would be there might be a 6-inch figure of Larry Hama accompanying the 4-inch figure that was released a few years ago. But could be nothing. Who knows? So that will be interesting to see what they have to reveal and discuss. Rod Wiggum, the legendary Rod Wiggum, will be at Joe Fest. I think that run of issues he did through the early days of A Real American Hero from issue 31 through to 60 something, was it? Was a golden sweet spot. So whenever I think of G.I. Joe art, the shadow in a cave of what the ultimate G.I. Joe art looks like, I think of Rod Wiggum's art. And he will be there with some pre-done sketches and some original art. He will not be sketching at the show because he says he is old and he is used to drawing in a climate-controlled ergonomic situation and not at a con. So don't expect him to draw for you live, but he will bring along lots of cool stuff.
Is Rod Wiggum there the whole time, or is his schedule different?
I think he was going to arrive. He was planning to arrive Friday, and he will be there for Saturday. I'm not too sure if he's going to be there on the Sunday.
Okay.
Brian Shearer of IDW ARA Comics fame will be there once again. I think he's relatively close. Larry Houston, animator extraordinaire and storyboarder and director of bits, the cool bits from G.I. Joe the movie, your favorite bits.
and co-wrote an episode of G.I. Joe. So producer, director, storyboard artist of the animated G.I. Joe. Also co-wrote Hearts and Cannons, that episode from 85.
I wonder, he's doing a panel. I wonder if it's Back to Pop might be co-presenting his panel. I see they've got their branding on with them. Robert Atkins makes a return. I think he might have not been there last year because it clashed with Heroes Con, but making a welcome return as well. And recent news, Pat Quinn, artist of G.I. Joe Declassified and the last few issues of America's Elite, will also be there, and he will be at the Whiskey Jack Toys table, who are bringing along the Legends of the Hidden Force toys that they have now had produced and are in people's hands, and I think they're revealing a new, more military sci-fi line of toys, which you can see here is called Impact. So we'll sort of see the next phase of what Whiskey Jack are bringing.
And are we? Yes. Okay. Sorry. Good. Yes.
And Peter Smith, cover artist of recent Silent Missions variant covers, has also been a recent announcement as well. So lots of comic art representation this year at Joe Fest. Looking forward to it. So, Tim, I think we are almost done. We can probably talk about where we can be found when we're not talking about G.I. Joe comics if we're not at a convention. Where can you be found?
YouTube at Atomic Abe, Hub Comics, that's my store, and a realamericanbook.com, that's my blog.
talkingjoe.co.uk is where we can be found. Points you to the YouTube, the audio-only podcast, the Facebook group, where we reveal the very latest news and get involved in discussions of comics news and the latest episode and that kind of cool stuff, some of which leaks out into the pages of the comics itself. And it's also got links to our TeePublic store. So if you want to rock up to Joe Fest sporting some fine Talking Joe merchandise, then you can. I don't know their turnaround time, but if you're not leaving till late, you might be able to. It might be able to, and you order it today, then maybe it'll happen. So, and also the Talking Joe website links you to our Patreon website, our Patreon site, patreon.com/talkingjoe, where the likes of Richard, Sam, Christopher, Shane, Simon, Chris, Joe, Craig, D, Shane V2. This one has a tentacly Cthulhu head. Infinite Entertainment, Gary V, Coldroff B, Squishy, Matt, Edgy B, Jonathan, and Patrick. They're getting early access to content as well as some exclusives. Tim, so I think that is us done for the week. But before you go, anything that you'd like to remind us of?
Nobody Beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
That was it. Laters.